Okay, today we're going to get started redoing the brakes, but we'll go ahead and tear down the control arms and get ready for new bushings and pull out the half shafts to put new U-joints in them. So let's get started. Alright, well I got this pad out on this side and I left the pad in on this side, so you need preferably a big C-clamp that can go through this side of the caliper and just kind of hit on the back side back here. And I also took the cap off, and as you can see the fluid's already brown again, so I'm gonna go ahead and flush the whole brake system while I'm at it. And we'll take the rotors and get them turned. You can see here I actually have a new wheel bearing. I thought I had a bad wheel bearing. I thought that's what the knock was coming from. The wheel bearing was a little wore out. It did have a little slop in it, but it wasn't making the roaring noise, but wasn't making the noise that the U-joint was making. So I went ahead and replaced that a few weeks ago. You'll notice on these are, let me get you. So these are C-Tek pads. I've got these off of RockAuto. They were like $8. I did a little looking on the forums, and the Corvette forum didn't really have anything bad to say about them. So for $8, I just drive back and forth to work. I'm not racing to work or anything. So you will notice that these are different. There's an inside and an outside. This one has the little feeler on it. So this one goes on the inside. You can't see that, but all I can do is show you this is the one that I took off, and it's pretty, I don't know if you can see that, but it's pretty low. I went ahead and figured I might as well replace them now before they go bad and have to tear it all down again. So let's get the rotors turned. Oh yeah, and when you get this C-clamp on here, don't just crank down on it. Give it a little bit of small turn, let it rest for a second, and then turn it again a little bit more, and it'll work a little bit better for you that way. So what I'm going to do while I'm waiting for the rotors to be turned, I'm going to go ahead and spray all these U-joints connections, the bolts and stuff down with some penetrating oil PB blaster, and I'm going to go ahead and take all the control arms off so that it'll be able to be easy to get the U-joints out once I get ready for that. Okay, so here I'm trying to get this bottom control arm loose, and I've got the nut off the back side, and this is almost all the way out, but it's in there pretty tight, so I'm gonna have to get some pliers or something to pull it out. But what I'm working on is this bottom bolt right here, and what you can do is to do this yourself. So get you a crescent wrench. I don't really know what size is it. Wait. It is a 15/16 nut. But you can use a box end wrench or a crescent wrench, put it on there, and put it between the lower control arm, which I've already got the bolt out of it, and just shove it in there. And then you can use a socket and a breakover bar to get this off, to get it loose, without having to use two hands or a second person. So a very important part before you start taking all these control arms loose is that the leaf spring there does hold all that stuff in tension, and if it's not supported and you take one of these bolts out, it's going to come crashing down on you pretty hard. So I could just tell from all the bolts and everything being in tension, and so I went ahead and jacked this up and put a block under it, or a jack stand. So I just used the regular cheap jack jack up the spring, support it, and took the bolt out, and now we can drop the spring down so that we don't have to worry about it. We'll see how low the spring drops. Well, I got the driver's side done, and let me explain what I've learned after the fact. So what you really need to do is loosen up all these points. You can take the nuts completely off this back side, leave the bolt in there, loosen these up on here, and it's down here. Loosen this connection up, and then what you need to do is like I showed you before, jack this spring up, take the linkage out right here, and then drop the spring back down, and then you can go ahead and finish taking all this stuff apart. You don't need to take this apart because this thing doesn't really fall down that far. And an important part is, so what you see here is this is the let's see if we can get it here. So this is what sets the camber or caster, I don't know which one, but there's our marks on this little deal here, and you roll this over and it moves the wheel or changes the angle of the wheel. So if you were probably racing the car, you'd want to set the wheels so they kind of angle in a little bit. But what I did was describe a line so that I know exactly where it is when I get this off and I go to put it back on. I make sure this spacer's in this this thing here is in the right spot. So other than that, it was not too bad to get apart. So you will note that see that these have spacers on them on both sides of the bushing to keep this sleeve in there tight. So alright, well, I got this side done, and it took all of about 30 minutes once I figured out that you need to get this off of here. But yeah, go ahead, and I would suggest breaking everything loose before, because if you take this off before you break everything loose, it keeps this kind of helps keep it stiff, because it does take a little bit of grunt to get some of those bolts loose. And in the meantime, I took a little bit of Scotch-Brite and water, and these cleaned up real good. So next step is to get the bushings for the new control arms. Alright, so there's been a little change of plans. I took the rotors down to get them turned, and they are, for one, I was told they had been overheated due to the black streaks, and they are also too thin to turn. So I've got to get new rotors. I have ordered the U-joints, but just due to a lack of funds to do all this stuff at once, I got to do a little bit at a time. So I'm going to do the U-joints first, then I will get the bushings redone, and then I'll just have to get new rotors. So the next video will be replacing the U-joints.